Well, we've got a little bit of a longer week on the front end here, not playing until Thursday, and then obviously less time on the back end. But, I think you look at Alabama right now, and I think the first thing that stands out, is the fact of the schedule that they've played. I think that they've played the most difficult schedule in our league, and I think they probably have played one of the most difficult schedules in the country. So I think when you look at their record, I don't think how good they are as a team, the record really reflects that, because when you clearly play the team that they've played, both home and away, that's going to happen. So I know there's been a huge emphasis by our league to beef up these non-conference schedules, and right now, by the looks of it, I don't think there's been a team in our league that's done a better job with that than Alabama.
Our first question is from Pat Dooley of the Gainesville Sun.
Hey, Billy, can you just talk about the luxury of having four seniors, and you don't have to go over things over and over again because they've been through so much?
Yeah, I think sometimes, Pat, with all these guys, you have to keep going over stuff, and almost a lot of this stuff is rehearsal. But I think the biggest thing is they know what to expect, in terms of what the league is like, what it's like to go play on the road. They've got some experiences under their belt. But, I've said this before, I don't necessarily think just because you're older and experienced that necessarily means, you're better. I think what you do is you have information and you have experiences that can allow you to be better. But I think your experiences as a player and as seniors, are directly reflected on how you view those experiences. If you view the experiences the wrong way, then you're not going to make great strides or great improvement. If you view the experiences in a way that's going to help you grow and get better, then I think it's good. So we've had some times this year that those guys haven't viewed their experiences like they needed to. And then we've had some times that they've looked at some of their experiences and it's really helped them. So I'm happy those guys have had the experiences they've had. I think as a coaching staff, we just try to help them view them in a way that's going to help them be better.
You had a run about 10 years, or I think you only had about 7 or 8, maybe less than that, fourth-year seniors. This is unusual to have that, but when you're recruiting this class, can you imagine that all four of them are going to be there for 4 years?
You don't know, Pat. I think in today's day and age, with the way things are, there are certain guys that maybe leave a little bit earlier than expected. For example, a guy like Patrick Young probably had every opportunity to leave after his freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And, clearly probably would have gone in the first round, but for him, I think a college experience, his education, his degree, was something that he and his family value a great deal. And that's what he wanted to do, and a guy like Brad Beal, who was very, very gifted academically, pre-med major, he had an opportunity, obviously, to go very early in the draft. He made the decision to go. So you don't know a lot of times, how quickly guys will develop. I didn't think after his freshman year, Maurice Spates or Joe Kim Noah would evolve as quickly as they did into, where they were, as sophomores. So a lot of times, you just don't know, but it's been great having these four guys kind of come in together and finish together.
Thanks, Billy.
Questions from Kevin Brockway of the Gainesville Sun.
Billy, any update on Chris Walker's status for Thursday?
No stat, no update.
And is there anything that you can take as far as from being the only undefeated team left in the league? Obviously, it seems like there's a lot of balance in the league.
Not really. We're all going to play an 18-game schedule. Obviously, it's not a balanced schedule, as we all know. But, right now we're on to the next game, and we've got to get prepared to go on the road to play Alabama. So, as it relates to us right now, our record really has nothing to do with the preparation and what we've got to do going on the road here on Thursday. Certainly we're happy in our first 4 games that we're 4-0, but right now it really doesn't mean a whole lot moving forward. It's about, I think, our team just trying to continue to grow and get better and try to improve and try to reach a level where we feel like we're getting to our fullest potential as a team.
Next question's from David Pascal of the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Coach, by my count, I think you've won 16 straight January games against SEC opposition, dating back to, I guess, you opened the 12 season with the loss in Knoxville. What about it has been the consistent theme of playing so well this time of year?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think sometimes you can get teams at different times that maybe they're better than they were. A perfect example is we played Georgia very very early in the non-conference schedule last year, and we played them twice and won both those games in Athens and in Florida. But I think that Georgia was a basketball team come late February, early March was a totally different team than they were when we played them. So sometimes it's timing. Sometimes teams get a whole lot better and they improve. Alabama is a perfect example of that. I mean, we played them last year pretty late in the schedule, and they had some difficulties in November and December, and we were down by I think 8 points with maybe 8 minutes to go in the game, and they continued to get better. So a lot of times I don't know if there's anything that we necessarily do or don't do. It's just every game is different, I think, and you try to get prepared and ready as you possibly can. And sometimes during the year, some teams are playing better than others, but we're just trying to get as prepared as we possibly can.
And then if you look at this year's team, what would you like to see this team improve most as moving forward these next couple of months?
Well, I think the one thing is I do think we're an unselfish team, and I think that our stats, assist to turnover ratio, have not really reflected that. I do think that we're a team that, because of some injuries and suspensions and those things, I think we're still getting used to playing with each other. I think when you take Rosario and Boynton and Eric Murphy out of our team, off our team, and now you've got some new guys that have been injected, it does take some time to form some chemistry on the court. And some of that chemistry has been somewhat disrupted just because we've had some different guys out. Last two games, Prather was out, and he came back against Auburn. We've had Casey Hill out for a while. We've had Scotty Wilbekin and Casey Hill both out together. So it's going to take us some time to, continue to, play, utilize each other's strengths and talents and abilities to help us be better as a team. I think that's going to maybe take a little bit longer for us because of what we had to deal with earlier in the year.
Thank you.
Next question is from Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Billy, how you doing today?
Good, Bob.
Hey, when you guys played Arkansas, I was wondering what you thought of Kai Madden, because he's really scored well this year, and he was a guy that hadn't really done that in the past.
Yeah, I think he's really improved, Bob, a lot. I think the one question mark I would have had on him earlier or even last year was his ability to consistently shoot the ball from behind the three-point line. I think because he's always been a slasher, he's got good size, he's really good with the ball in his hands. In a lot of ways, he's almost a point guard. I think the one area that he's really, at least against us, he shot the ball exceptionally well from behind the line. And I think when he does that, he becomes very difficult to guard because he can play in the lane. He's got good size and athleticism and good ball skills. So I think he's made a huge jump from last year to this year, in my opinion. But the biggest jump I see is his ability to shoot the ball.